Let's go.
Get your copy of Fire. It's definitely a must-read. If you enjoy hood books, this one is it. Just like the title of the book, it's officially Fire. Get it on Amazon, paperback or Kindle.
Always trust everyone to be themselves, but trust in the fact that you can see them well. I mean, so it's like, trust. It takes too much energy to not trust someone. I mean, it takes too much energy. You always gotta stay 2 steps ahead of them or whatever. Right. But trust them to be them.
Right. To be themselves.
Trust a snake to bite you. Right. Trust a lion to laugh. Trust a thief to steal from you. Like, trust them to be them. Too. But know them when you see them.
Peace. This is the enemy's public. I am Bro.Nasir. I hope everyone's enjoying this afternoon. Hope all is well with the people. But this afternoon, I want to deal with the situation with the Venezuelans, the gangs invading the U.S. cities. Meanwhile, our people are criminalized. Before I get to the subject matter, I'm going to play a few music selections to invite those who are going to come in and listen to this discussion.
Yeah. It's a team, let's roll. They say I'm never coming back. It might be true, cause I ain't looking back. No, we elevated, now we on our way. Yeah. Now these emotions, all I gotta say, yeah. Gotta say, yeah. Now these rolling's all I gotta say, yeah. Now wish me love, I'm on the road. They say I'm changing, but I'm just chasing
G'd up and I can't hide it. So let's roll in that shit, bitch, and I stand by it. Let's roll. I'm that new dope. Streets, nigga, no stamp on it. No stamp. Team too real. Can't beat it, and you can't join us. No niggas know about folk. Shows lined up and down my coast. Young stat. Like that. Do it for those who can afford to get it right now. Then them corners getting it right now, nigga. Right now. I was just in their shoes. Wild and something to prove. Young and confused. It's like I had nothing to lose. Hungry for more. These Benjamins rise. Start opening doors. My circle is tight. Moves a unit. It's a company law. And now they say that I ain't coming back. What? Get a taste of that success and don't know how to act. Niggas want fame, we want more money, that's a big difference. This music coming in big shipments, big business. Hello.
They say I'm never coming back. It might be true, cause I ain't looking back. No, we elevated, now we on our way. Yeah. Now these rolling's all I gotta say, yeah. Gotta say, yeah. Now these rolling's all I gotta say, yeah. Now wish me love, I'm on the road. They say I'm changing, but I'm just chasing gold.
Never look back, too motivated. Been through it all. Blood, sweat, tears. Niggas talk that shit, don't know the latest. She said, fuck that, ignore the haters. Hollywood brief, gon' get the paper. Racks at night, don't try to save me. Folks sit back, keep concentrating. Let me cool down this conversation. Tomorrow come through, start violating. What you gonna do now? GM smooth, put job like a combination. Should we run out town? The hook machine, the one we call SP. Singing on tracks, we got real lining. Picture the game if they dance, I mean. We got it on films, LR, Marley, Mike J. To the top, my nigga, I ain't worried about a damn fall. It's just me and my team, we succeed without y'all. Doubt that, nigga, please. Let me see you throw your hands, nigga, pop off. That's what I thought, I ain't beat. Have a seat, what you think they made a couch for? Relax, nigga, don't worry about where my cash at. I'ma grind for mine, I'ma ride for mine. More than a couple years on my abstract. No beginner, nigga, I'm a winner, cold winner, be a mine. I'm money from the ass gap. It's crack on wax, I'ma tax that. Bounce over back that nigga. They say I'm never coming back. It might be true, cause I ain't looking back. No, we elevated, now we on our way. Yeah. Now these women's all I gotta say. Yeah. Gotta say yeah. Now these women's all I gotta say. Yeah. Now wish me love, I'm on the road. They say I'm chasing, but I'm just chasing gold. Chasing my goal. Yeah, and now stop chasing my goal.
I'm back. They are starting the foolishness already. I haven't even begun. Now, I'm going to start from the origin because I don't like to give us branch knowledge. Peace to Hurricane JW. Peace to my brother Epic Studies. Peace to my brother Big Dog Philly OG and everyone else who are joining this evening. Now, of course, this stream is about the Venezuelan gangs invading U.S. cities while our people are being criminalized. Now, the first meeting that Biden had with the Congressional Black Caucus, Joe Biden was kind of frustrated because the CBC were gullible enough to think that he was going to keep some of the promises that he made to get him in office. That's why when politicians approach me, I tell them outright that I don't want to be bothered. Even when they send those who they think can influence us, I send them on their way also. They try to sell us on how important the election is, bringing a sense of urgency as if we can't remember back 3 years ago when they were doing the same thing. Yet during that meeting that Joe Biden had with the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus, I call them a black carcass because they're in a dead state of mind. He actually scolded them for asking of him what he promised. Then he said to them that we will have to deal with the immigrants. This is what he told the Congressional Black Caucus. Those who he will open the borders to allow to pour into our cities. Cities where our people live predominantly. See, others are not going for that. All the way up to mayors and governors, they're not going for that. What do our mayors do? I'm talking about mayors that look like us. They empower them against us, i.e., the mayor of Chicago, the mayor of New York, two of the largest cities in the United States. Busloads of migrants were shipped to these cities from where they wasn't wanted, all across the United States. Now, some of these people really do want to get their life together and make their lives better. Some of them are criminals, though. These immigrants are being provided for better than the citizens, those who were born and raised here. The homeless, who are citizens who have been waiting for help for a long time, don't receive help. Yet the immigrants who just arrived, they get housing and they get money, while the natives remain homeless. Now, a few months ago, there was an incident when some young migrants in New York attacked the police in New York. They were punching, kicking, throwing things at the police. Not at one time did any of them pull out as much as a taser, not alone their guns. Yet young brothers and sisters who are unarmed get shot walking down the street, shot during a traffic stop, shot and killed in their homes. Now, if we fast forward to the day, the Venezuelans have established and empowered themselves all over the United States. The FBI stated that the Venezuelans are the largest and most dangerous gang in the United States. Of course, next to the police themselves. They are carrying weapons and taking over housing projects. They are committing violent crimes, robberies, murders. It's being reported, but it's going unchecked. They're reporting it, but they're not. It's reports all over the United States. Every news station, they're reporting it, but it's going unchecked. Peace to my brother, P. Moses. Thanks for joining me. Now, again, the ignorant among us is not looking at the trick bags concerning what's going on with those who are allowed to come into the United States and receive stipends. It's crazy because there was a school that was closed, nice looking building in Chicago. They closed the school because they said they didn't have any money to run the school. And then when the immigrants arrive, they said they're going to open the building up, renovate it to make it housing. If you can do all that, you can actually run the school. And if you look at who are on the city council, if you just look at them, their dialect, their accent, these are people who the mayors of these cities empowered. So they're allowing these people to come over here. And the war is really against us if we would recognize it. Some of our people are so into sport and play and entertainment so much that we're not paying attention to what's going on around us. Even the intellectual sparring debates, if you want to call it that, that's sport and play. That's sport and play. If we can debate the problem, what the problem is, and we don't walk away from the debate with a solution, it's pointless. A lot of our brothers and sisters are brilliant. They're brilliant. But they don't even know who their own enemy is. And not only that, we're chest out with each other. Yet we're on our best behavior when it comes to approaching other people. What happened to this wild Indian when it comes to dealing with those who are outside of ourselves? We want to get buck wild with each other. But I don't see that same energy displayed when it comes to dealing with others. We don't know how to channel our energy. We don't know who to point our guns at. We don't. I always said that the only thing I can promise anybody when it comes to throwing my hands, my feet, my elbows, my knees, is I won't start it. That's all I can promise you, is I won't start. But my counter is going to be very aggressive. How I counter aggression towards me, going to be very aggressive. Yeah, I hope it's not taken there, but I live in reality. 10 times out of 10, it would have to happen. Yeah, I have a video presentation on the subject matter. Bear with me, I just have to pull it up. And this is all across the United States. The Venezuelans, they're establishing themselves and they're empowering themselves as a force. And it's going unchecked. How they do it, they just do it. They don't run their mouth about it. They just do it. We like to talk about doing it and don't do it. Now, let me get these videos queued up. Salute to my brother Warfare K. Salute to my brother Comrade, Talk Your Talk Media. And my Jersey brethren, Warfare K. Let me find these videos. I mean, these gangs are all the way in. They're all the way in Colorado. These Venezuelan gangs are all the way in Colorado. Everywhere. It's reports they're even in New Jersey, New York. They're all over the place. It's being reported, but it's going unchecked.
Members taking over apartments. It's important to note the city nor the Aurora Police Department have confirmed any of those claims. Colorado and federal law enforcement does confirm that the transnational crime organization Tren de Aragua are operating in the Denver metro area. Denver 7's Adria Arahita joining us live now with new reaction from Governor Jared Polis and Aurora's interim police chief. Good morning, Adria.
Yeah, good morning, Wanye. Videos have gone viral this week showing a group of males carrying guns in an apartment complex. Now, this is one of several buildings at the center of concern. Aurora Police saying earlier this week, quote, APD has been increasingly collecting evidence to show the gang is connected to crimes in the area. They shared this video last night of officers looking into claims at the edge of Lowry Apartments. APD's interim police chief Heather Morris says gang members have not taken over the complex and they're reassuring the community they are investigating criminal activity.
We are actively investigating criminal activity that's happening and listening to them to so that we can learn anything that we're missing. You know, what are we missing, and actually find out what exactly is going on.
Governor Jared Polis spoke with CNN saying the state is ready to step in at a moment's notice if Aurora if needed, and adding that the state takes these kinds of threats very seriously. But he says Aurora officials have not raised that alarm.
So all we await is a call from Aurora saying there's any building in the control of any gang, and we are ready to help take it back. That call has not happened because Aurora Police does not currently believe, or they haven't told us, that there's any buildings in control of gangs.
Aurora's mayor, Mike Kaufman, on the other hand, says the city is seeking an emergency court order to shut down apartment buildings.
What they're doing is turning a blind eye, because if this gang is carrying sophisticated weapons, the first question is where they got them from. And they don't want to get in a firefight with somebody who's willing to do it. That's the thing. Because they are not as willing to die as they are to kill. Speaking about the police, they're dealing with somebody, as far as the Venezuelans, or somebody who don't give a damn and will pull it. That's the difference, really, between us and them.
That he claims have been overrun by a Venezuelan gang by declaring them a criminal nuisance. And Mayor Kaufman says the apartments seeking gang activity are all under that same ownership that had multiple code violations and criminal activity preceding the migrant crisis, and a judge must grant that.
Putting a sign on the door that says "Do not enter," it's like putting a Band-Aid on a damn laceration. I don't know how effective they think that's going to be.
That order before the city can clear out the buildings.
Yeah, well, thank you, Adria. This is obviously something that even presidential candidates are talking about right now. So thank you so much for bringing us this updated information.
They're talking about that, but they're not talking about policies concerning our people. And then we'll have people coming to us telling us what we should do concerning a politician or anybody that represent them come to one of us. We should tell them to go to hell, straight up.
The city of Aurora also confirming it has arrested a documented member of that gang. Police arrested this man Wednesday in connection to a shooting at the Nome Street Apartments that the city previously shut down over code violations. 2 people were shot and a third had a broken ankle. He is currently in ICE custody. Let's get to some other local.
Peace to my brother, Bronze Flat Power God. Now we're going to go. They're saying that the Venezuelans' most dangerous gang is invading the United States. This is what.
And returning to the United States, where a dangerous Venezuelan gang is slowly making inroads into the country. The notorious crime syndicate is infamous for extortion, kidnapping, murder, and human trafficking. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is already actively tracking the gang's activities in several states, including New York, Florida, Texas, and Louisiana. Our next report gets you more details about the Venezuelan cartel and the danger it poses to Americans.
A crime wave is raising fears across the United States. Whether it's the mysterious killing of a police officer in Florida or the sexual extortion of a woman in Louisiana, several such unrelated crimes.
Salute to my brother JJ, the enlightening one. Thanks for tapping in, brother. But this is crazy because they do all this all over the United States. It's being reported. I'm going to keep repeating that. It's being reported, but it's going unchecked. If somebody rise to this much prominence and establish themselves with this much power, somebody turned a blind eye to it. That's the only way this can happen, because we can't even sneeze at a goddamn pepper factory without them investigating us and bringing us to so-called justice.
Crimes have been found to have one common link: a dangerous transnational criminal gang called Tren de Aragua. The name of the gang translates to Aragua train in English, and it originated in the Aragua state of the South American nation of Venezuela. Reports say members of the gang adopted the name between 2013 and 2015, but began its operations
Greeting to the sister Doe Eyes. Thanks for tapping in.
years before. The gang's leadership operated out of the Tocoron prison in Aragua up until last year, when Venezuelan authorities raided the facility and found several restaurants and a swimming pool inside the prison walls, along with machine guns, automatic rifles, and thousands of rounds of ammunition. However, the authorities could not find Tren de Aragua's leader, Nino Guerrero.
Greetings to Sharon Walker. Thanks for tapping in. Appreciate it.
An Interpol Red Notice warns that the mastermind's whereabouts are unknown, and among the countries he could be in is the United States. The notorious gang is infamous for drug and human trafficking, extortion, kidnapping, and murder. The Venezuelan gang has expanded its operations throughout Central and South America, most prominently in Colombia, Chile, Ecuador, and Peru. It has a history of going into local economies and taking over the criminal underground using excessive force. Members of Tren de Aragua shoot victims captured by rival gangs and perform the executions live on social media in order to establish their presence. In Colombia, the gang operates sex trafficking networks. The group exploits Venezuelan migrants and internally displaced Colombians.
Now, this is crazy. Now, these are people who were allowed to come here, and they established themselves and they empowered themselves.
Colombians in sex trafficking, taking advantage of their economic vulnerabilities and subjecting them to debt bondage. And now, the criminal syndicate.
Absolutely, Hurricane JW. As a matter of fact, you totally on point, because they did all this to establish what they call the United States. And they do this to maintain what they call the United States.
Syndicate has made its way to North America. The FBI says the gang has followed migration paths and is now established in the US. US border officials have confirmed multiple arrests of the alleged gang members over the last year. Tren de Aragua is named in almost 70 cases in law enforcement documents. So far, the group has been found to be operating in the US states of Louisiana, Texas, Virginia, New Jersey, Florida, Georgia, New York, and Illinois. Even former President Donald Trump has commented on the rise of the gang violence. He claims crime rates in Venezuela have dropped as the country is sending gang.
Now, I don't subscribe to no politics. I don't support no party. And I don't support no candidate. And I don't think it will ever be a time that I would. But Donald Trump did say this. He did say it. Yet, on the flip side, and he did warn us about this, and he did warn us of what Joe Biden would do concerning the immigrants. And Joe Biden straight up told the Congressional Black Caucus that we're going to have to deal with the immigrants that come here.
And members to the United States. His remark comes just months after a group of Republican congressmen sent a letter to President Joe Biden and urged him to designate Tren de Aragua as a transnational criminal organization. So, with the Venezuelan gang spreading its operations in the US, it remains to be seen how President Biden will react to his latest threat.
Actual fact, Warfare K. That is an actual fact. We don't meet it, because we intellectualize every damn thing. We don't want to talk about. We talk about, we're at war. We're not at war because we're not fighting. War has been waged against us, but we're not at war. When you start fighting the war that's been waged against you, then you're at war.
From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden. How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on First Post America.
I'm going to move on to the next video, sticking to the subject matter about the gangs.
Tonight, the new warning from law enforcement that among the record number of migrants that have crossed into the U.S. are members of a Venezuelan street gang. NBC News learning there are more than 100 Homeland Security investigations involving suspected members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, according to 2 DHS officials.
It's madness.
In the past week, the NYPD says a suspected member of the Venezuelan gang shot 2 of its officers.
So we know that he entered the country illegally.
NBC News has learned the gang is suspected in criminal cases in at least 5 states. In one case, 3 in the last year threatened 2 Venezuelan women and said they would kill their family members if they did not cooperate in a sex trafficking ring, according to court documents. The women ended up in Baton Rouge, and police say they were forced to have sex with up to 4 men a day in this apartment building. How big of a threat is Tren de Aragua?
I mean, they are a grave threat.
The NYPD's Assistant Chief Jason Savino tells us they often know very little about the gang members.
I've heard it referred to almost as a ghost criminal. Everything about that individual could potentially be misrepresented.
And why does that make them dangerous?
Because if you come here and we can't even track you, we're not even sure of who you are.
All of it adding to the growing questions about the vetting process at the border. Venezuela is one of several countries that will not share criminal records of its citizens with U.S. authorities doing migrant background checks.
Because then they shouldn't be allowed here. And if they're caught here, they should be sent back. That's my sentiment. Send them all back. Send them back.
We cannot validate their criminal record history, typically, unless we get it from Interpol or they already have a criminal record inside the United States. We won't know who they are.
The vast majority of migrants have no criminal background. Though former President Trump is calling attention to recent high-profile crimes police say were committed by migrants.
Migrant crime, it's a new category of crime.
An NBC News review of both administrations' track records reveals roughly 64,000, or 2% of migrants encountered in the Trump administration were found to have criminal records. Under the Biden administration, more than 103,000, or 1% of migrants, were found to have criminal records. In a statement, DHS tells us if an individual poses a threat to public safety, they deny them admission, detain, remove, or refer them for prosecution. Tom?
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about
Next
breaking
video
news.
speaks about the violence that they're bringing over to the United States.
Immigration is now the top issue concerning Americans. According to the Gallup organization, 28% of those polled said they're more concerned about immigration than government and the economy. And a record high 55% say large numbers of migrants entering the United States illegally are a great threat to this country. Well, joining us is Young Voices commentator and writer for The Spectator, Juan Pablo Villasmil. Juan, you recently wrote an article for The Spectator discussing the threat of migrant criminal Venezuelan gangs in the United States, Tren de Aragua. So how concerned should we be about them and why?
Yeah, so for a lot of time, we've been talking about some countries not sending their best. And in this case, just like it happened with MS-13, this gang is pretty notorious in Venezuela. And I saw that not a lot of people were diving deep into what this gang does and what it's known for. And the reality is that in New York City, NYPD has already determined that there is a presence of the Tren de Aragua in the city. And as we see crime spread throughout the United States, many of them being brutal crime, a lot of people are asking themselves, how many members of the...
Greetings to Sharice, the realist. Thanks for tapping in. Yeah, this is a serious problem, and especially when these people come over here and decide that they want to go to war with us. That's a serious problem. And if they're getting weapons, a big question is, where are they getting weapons? Because I know how the United States government operate. They finance wars, foreign and domestic. I'm going to say that again. They finance wars, foreign and domestic, meaning that the weapons that the gangs have, they supply both sides, like they supply Iran with weapons and Iraq with weapons to go to war with each other. So that's a win-win situation with them. And I honestly think that these people were brought over here purposely to go to war with us. Because again, they're reporting it, but this is going unchecked. All the crime that's been, they're doing robberies, sex trafficking, robbing, murders, even fighting the police in New York. Nobody pulled their gun out when they was fighting the police. We get shot unarmed, running away from them. So that says a lot about that.
The Tren de Aragua are already inside the United States. That's not to say that all immigrants are Tren de Aragua members, but maybe many of them are, and that's a problem.
Well, how about these guys that beat up the New York Police Department police there, the cops there? There were like 6 or 7 of them involved in that, and they were let go.
They would have laid our young people down for that. It would have been some 9mm and 40 cals flying everywhere. For them jumping on those cops like that, those were our children, our young people, it would have went totally different.
And there's a lot of videos online. If you search for them, you'll find them, of these people being interviewed, and they say, "Thank you, Joe Biden, for having us here. We're so happy to be here." And then they turn around and they commit crime. They're not the best. They're not the best people. And I say this as a Venezuelan American. Some of those Venezuelans.
And what's crazy about that, look at who's talking about those who come here. This is like mockery to me. He looks like one of them himself.
Those are not the type of Venezuelans that people in Venezuela like.
Many of our viewers remember the Mariel boat lift, the mass immigration of Cubans that made that short but treacherous ocean journey from Cuba to Florida during Jimmy Carter's presidency in 1980. And some of those migrants were criminals released from prison by Fidel Castro. So How likely, again, do you think the Venezuelan president, Maduro, is weaponizing migration and doing the same thing?
It's complicated to tell because there's this facade of government.
What's crazy about this whole thing is they go to other cities and they go to other states, and the governors and the mayors of these states and cities that don't want them there have the fortitude to put them on buses and send them to our communities. And it's crazy how they are sending them to our communities. DeSantis down in Florida, he had busloads coming to Florida to New York. New York tried to say, okay, we don't want them to come over here because there's too many. Yet, what they were doing, they were sending them to New Jersey, and they'll take the train or bus to New York. That's how they was getting to New York, because they wouldn't allow them to come straight to New York after a while. But they went to New Jersey and took the train from New Jersey to New York. But according to what the statistics say, they're in New Jersey, New York, Texas, and different other states, and Chicago, and they're establishing themselves and they're empowering themselves, and they're on gearing up to fight us. From my understanding, they killed the a gang leader, one of the black gang leaders. From my understanding, not saying that being a gang member is something to be, yet they are becoming a rival gang to the brothers and sisters who are establishing themselves in our communities, and they're going to war with them.
Government in Venezuela. So a lot of the times they are in touch with cartels. There are connections between government officials and the gangs. Actually, the reason why this gang took control of a prison a la Pablo Escobar, and they had a restaurant and a nightclub in the prison, and then Maduro sent troops to fight against them. But before that, there was a policy of not doing anything about it for years. Like, just imagine this in the US. A gang takes control over a prison and the government does nothing for like 10 years. And then they take it back, or they try to take it back, It's really weird what happens in Venezuela. And it's not really clear if the government's directly behind this or if the gang is acting.
Indeed, brother, Hurricane JW, a lot of them is coming through Canada, because Windsor, Canada is right across the river from Detroit. And it's like a stone's throw distance, close as hell. So, and Canada borders New York also. So they're coming through that way, and they're coming, all that's close. If you look at it geographically, all of that's close. Absolutely, brother.
Acting independently. But if you ask me, I assume that this immigration wave, this massive one for sure.
Of course, this Gallup poll was taken a few days before the murder of nursing student Laken Riley, allegedly by Venezuelan migrant Jose Ibarra. That murder was front and center during Donald Trump's border visit last week. He's even released a new campaign ad highlighting the tragedy. Let's take a look.
Following some breaking news out of Athens, Georgia.
2 colleges have canceled classes today as police look for a murderer.
Laken Riley was described as a shining light.
The Dean's List nursing student.
Police arrested 26-year-old Jose Antonio Ibarra.
Ibarra crossed into Texas illegally back in September of 2022, then was released into the United States on parole.
Riley's mother said her daughter's murder was avoidable. So you're a member of Gen Z. How effective do you think this ad is with younger voters? Does it get their attention? Do they even care about the border and illegal immigration?
I think younger voters care. The only thing I would say is that it's maybe more effective with the older generations, but not necessarily, because Gen Z consumers are an impenetrable market who will not digest, understand.
All of this Peace to Rob Bourne. Thanks for tapping in, brother. All of this could have been prevented if they stopped allowing them to come over here. Because I remember a few years ago, there were some students in Newark, New Jersey, that were hanging out. Some young brothers and sisters hanging out. They were on break from college in Newark. And the same people ran up on those young people and executed them in that park and left them dead in that park. Just a few years ago. And if they would decide that, okay, we're going to not allow them to come over because of the violent crimes they committed, all of this could have been, prevented. But they allowed them to empower. Now they have power and they can actually fight a war. And I'm saying these people do it. Unlike us, they'll do it.
Understand and respond to this message.
Peace to my brother Smoke Signal. Thanks for tapping in, brother.
But it still seems like a message that parents and not their children are more susceptible to. Because I think older folks understand the effects of immigration better, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, it does make sense. And I think we'll see how this plays out. It's going to be top and center, the big issue for campaign 2024. Okay, Young Voices commentator, writer for The Spectator, Juan Pablo Villasmil. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
It gets crazier. FBI is telling us that these are the most dangerous.
Well, it is now time for our Reporter's Cut, where we highlight all the stories our reporters have been working on. Now, this is a story you will only see on 9. FBI says a Venezuelan gang called Tren de Aragua has made its way to the borderland.
Yeah, that's right. This rapidly expanding gang has spread throughout South America and now into our community, posing a threat to border.
It's because it's allowed. It's been allowed. They've been welcomed. The borders were opened up. And these people, see, once they get the people, I don't understand. It should be a process. It shouldn't be a process. Okay, we're going to process and give them stipends, put them in hotels. We have the same planes that they send the military to all these other nations to prepare for war. All you got to do is put them on those same planes and take them right back to where they came from. You can put thousands of people in one of those planes, put them in those planes as fast as they come, round them up. It's not hard to round them up, especially when bus loads are coming to one area. Round them up, put them on those planes, take them right back to where they came from.
The borderland families. Our Oriana Batoro reports.
The fastest.
Exactly, Rob Bourne. They come to our home and shoot us. So if we take over an apartment complex, they're going to send the FBI, the state police, the local police. They'll probably send the National Guard in if we did something like that.
This growing transnational criminal organization known as the Tren de Aragua is a Venezuelan gang that has now infiltrated its way into the United States through various sectors of the U.S.-Mexico border.
That here in El Paso, Tren de Aragua gang members who are identified are put into prosecution pathways for 1325 illegal entry into the United States.
According to a CNN report from Border Patrol, 38 suspected members from the Tren de Aragua have been arrested between 2022 and 2023.
When they come to a new place, they do it oftentimes through immigrant pathways, taking advantage of people from within their own community.
Tren de Aragua is taking advantage of the mass Venezuelan exodus to make their way into the country, and now they are ramping up crime in U.S. cities like Miami and Chicago.
They typically operate mostly on...
And this is earlier. Now they're in probably like 7, 8 states. So they're increasing their rank and file.
migrant smuggling and human trafficking. Those are their two big criminal enterprises.
But why exactly are they a threat to the borderland?
They also use forms of extortion by going to local businesses that are owned by these migrant communities. And if they don't pay a tax, they extort that money from them.
This can bring an increase in crime into our community, including human smuggling and sex trafficking.
And so the same thing what's happening in South America is now going to start happening here in the United States amongst these Venezuelan communities in the U.S.
The main issue.
All I can say is in these cities, we have to watch our surroundings. We have to watch strange vehicles. Got to keep an eye on our children. And we have to squad up. See, while we are on platforms talking all day, this is what they're doing, establishing themselves. And more than likely to go to war with us. So we need to consider that.
Issue being that the Tren de Aragua is almost operating in the shadows, making it harder for law enforcement to track them.
We have no idea on who they are because we don't have their criminal records from Venezuela. And a lot of times they also, because they operate with
Exactly. Squad up and brush up on your Spanish so we can know what they're saying. Get your ass a Rosetta Stone or something. Take you some courses so you can know what they're saying, because if you know what they're saying, you know what they're planning.
A way that we'd be able to do it is if they had a criminal record either in Colombia or Peru.
And with the historic numbers in record crossings, many of these gang members could continue making their way into the country.
I can't tell whether that man that comes across the border is either a criminal or an actual refugee.
Criminals seek refuge also. We have to understand that. They seek refuge also. So until we can distinguish one from the other, don't allow none to come over. That's it. That's how you solve that problem. That problem is solved. Don't let none come over until we can distinguish one from the other. If you say you don't know who's a criminal from the person who just want a better life, okay, this man messed it up for all of you. You can't come over.
And because of that, we're just releasing everybody with each other.
We did reach out to Border Patrol agents to see if they could disclose any information regarding the Tren de Aragua, but since this is an ongoing investigation, there's not much that they can share with us at this time. Reporting from the U.S.-Mexico border, Oriana Botaro, KTSM 9 News.
Gangs. So they say. They don't confront them like they confront us.
Police are trying to tackle the rapidly escalating violent crime among Venezuelan gang members in the city who have gotten into New York.
Fox 8's Linda Schmidt talked to the NYPD, who says this crime wave is one of their greatest challenges. She joins us live from the newsroom now. Linda, what can you tell us tonight?
Well, basically what you just said right there, this is one of the NYPD's biggest challenges right now. Now, the NYPD expects the migrant...
My exact sentiment, Cuban crisis, I share your sentiment. It is a strategic plan from the United States. Very strategic if we recognize what it is.
Venezuelan gang crimes to actually get worse in this city before it gets better. They're waving the guns around.
Correct.
Waving guns and flashing gang signs on this video. The NYPD says these are suspected members of the ruthless Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, which has been infiltrating the U.S. detectives, Jason Savino, telling me it is believed this video was made while the gang members were in Ecuador, and its purpose is to recruit new members.
Then, when you fast forward, you see the same individuals where? In Times Square. So that's our concern.
The NYPD says Tren de Aragua has been making it over the border with the migrant influx and is getting established in New York.
What we do see is they are trying to grow.
The gang has gone from petty crimes like shoplifting and stealing cell phones and jewelry to all-out shootouts in the streets. Alleged gang member Bernardo Raul Mata recently confessing to police that gang members are being instructed to shoot police officers. Mata is charged with shooting two officers after they stopped him for riding a moped the wrong way on a one-way street in Queens. In court, an assistant district attorney revealing what Mata told investigators about the gang.
Tren de Aragua members are smuggling firearms into city shelters inside food delivery packages. That way they don't have to go through the metal detector.
Guns being smuggled into migrant shelters in food delivery packages that are not being screened. The gang violence is escalating, and now drugs are coming into the picture.
We're just starting to see a drug called Tusi, which is a pink cocaine type substance.
It seems like this is a huge challenge.
It's as big of a challenge as we faced.
The NYPD has faced difficult challenges in the past and is determined to win this fight to keep New Yorkers safe.
We're having success. We're taking down networks of individuals. We're up to the task and we'll accomplish it.
Now, today, I also reached out to City Hall about security and metal detectors at the city-run migrant shelters, and I asked them why food containers are not being screened for possible weapons or drugs. Now, I was told those items are supposed to be screened every single time. And now the city is now retraining security personnel at all city-run migrant shelters. Natasha, Teresa, back upstairs to you.
Now, let's say it's a Venezuelan gang linked to a brutal jewelry heist and robbery. This is the video. It's actually in New York. The same gang. I think it's in Denver. No, it's in Denver.
All right, get this. Federal authorities in El Paso relinquishing custody of a man linked to this violent jewelry robbery. This happened back in June in Denver. So our partners at News Nation.
All the way in Colorado. In Denver. So they're everywhere. Not just in these large major cities like Chicago and New York and, Houston and Dallas. They're in Colorado.
Nation, they're reporting it's part of a Venezuelan gang. They do report Homeland Security officials turned over the suspect, Jean Torres Roman, to the Denver County Sheriff's Office. The brutal robbery caught on video shows several young men pulling guns, even pistol whipping two women. So a few days after El Paso SWAT officers took several people into custody, happened at a motel, and reportedly Torres was there. It's not clear what the status of the other people taken into custody.
Welcome to the platform, Manny Avelis Jr. Thanks for tapping in. I appreciate it.
They are either.
And police now say a young crew of migrants is largely behind the surge in crime in Central Park. In fact, one of the suspects, just 11 years old. Fox 5's Stephanie Bertini has been on the story all day, and staff were...
They recruit them early. They're what they call plants, anchors, and they train them young to join the rank and file. I mean, I don't suggest that we do the crime part, but the training to join the rank and file, we need to consider to let our young people know that they are soldiers. Our cause may not be a cause to do crime and do harm to people, yet we need to train our people, our young people, to join the rank and file to protect ourselves. Because, that it's a cliche saying, but the saying is truth. United we stand, divided we fall. We know how to come together, but we don't quite got it or what we should be doing when we do come together.
wondering what the very latest is on this.
So new details. We just got images of two suspects police are looking for. The NYPD says these two males are connected to this young migrant robbery pattern here in Central Park. It's alleged they targeted two 20-year-olds on Tuesday night and forcibly took 3 chains, a hat, and a vape. This developing story includes at least 10 cases here in Central Park. The suspects, all migrants, according to police. By the entrance of Central Park at 59th and 7th.
They arrest these people and then they just let them go. They let them go. They don't hold them, but you know, what's the brother name? Kareem Browder. He got arrested for a false arrest for a damn book bag or something. They kept him in Rikers Island for over a year. These dudes beat up the police and get right out. They commit crimes in Central Park, get right out.
The visual police presence.
It is surprising to see a lot of police. I feel like, I don't know, a police presence mostly makes me feel safe.
In this video released to Fox 5 News by the NYPD, you see a group of young males believed to be migrants allegedly on their way to commit a crime. The NYPD says a current young migrant robbery pattern is a driving force behind the increased boots on the ground here.
Until we fix this, we'll be out there.
NYPD Chief of Patrol John Schell says at least 10 cases are connected to young migrant suspects who he says are concentrating on the southern part of the park. Detectives say the suspects are working in groups of up to 12, targeting victims for whatever they can get. And they're young kids, including an 11-year-old just arrested in a different crime yesterday, connected to all this by credit cards.
When he was arrested yesterday, was on video using credit cards that were taken from the robberies in Central Park.
Fox 5 here yesterday watching dozens of cops converge on Central Park in response to the increased police presence. Did you notice more cops today?
We actually didn't. I haven't noticed any. I just walked into the park right now.
The park is a large area. Those who work here understand the need to keep it safe. Pedicab operator Kenny Winter is on alert.
You can arrest them all you want, but if you're not going to prosecute them, what's the point?
He welcomes the police presence, but thinks more needs to be done to curb the robberies and crime overall. We've reported NYPD statistics show an increase in crime in the park overall, with a 200% increase in robberies specifically.
Peace to my good brother Kill Switch. Thanks for tapping in, family.
This year so far compared to last. These two young women are both 20, the same age as some of the recent victims we reported on as we're covering this young migrant robbery pattern.
I feel like, I don't know, a police presence mostly makes me feel safe.
And hearing that they're young people that are doing this, is that surprising to you at all?
It is, honestly. I wouldn't expect that.
Officials stressing Central Park is one of the most iconic locations in the world, and this will not be tolerated. Now, when it comes to those robbery stats, police say earlier in the year it was local robbers. The cops telling us they cleaned that inside.
All right, Stephanie, thank you so much for the update.
They said, you know, they arrested some of the gang members, and I don't know what came of it. If you're going to arrest them,
U.S. Border Patrol is concerned over Venezuela's most.
If you're going to arrest them and let them go, arrest them and don't prosecute them is pointless.
Dangerous gang crossing into the United States, with law enforcement arresting members from Texas all the way to New York. Jorge Ventura is with us now. Jorge, how have these gang members become such a problem, and just how dangerous are they?
Well, good morning, Marky. Well, the Trinidad Agua gang is Venezuela's most dangerous gang. And according to federal officials, members of this gang are taking advantage of the ongoing border crisis and entering the country illegally. Now, according to U.S. Border Patrol Chief Jason Owens, Border Patrol agents arrested this man on the Texas border, a Venezuelan national and a known member of the Trinidad Agua gang. According to Owens, Trinidad Agua gang is known for murder, drug trafficking, sex crimes, and more. And in New York, another member of Tren de Aragua gang was arrested. Venezuelan national Yerben Lozada Munoz was taken in Friday by ICE agents. He was previously arrested in March for allegedly squatting in a home filled with guns and drugs. And a few weeks ago,
I don't like doing fear mongering. I don't do that. Yet, I'm just going to say to our people, if we stay ready, we don't have to get ready. And this is something, especially with the weaponry that they have and their willingness to do whatever. We need to consider, we need to be vigilant and keep our head on a swivel, squad up, and cut out the other foolishness that we engage in, and keep our eye on what's going on with these people, and know that they have help. You're not going to tell me they don't have help getting their weaponry, because if they could commit crimes, if they could beat the police up in New York and get out, that's real strange to me that they can do that and get out. Peace to my brother, Chris Cites. Thanks for tapping in, fam. It's weird to me that they could beat up some NYPD police officers, don't get a gun pulled on them, don't get tased, don't get maced. They're kicking them, they're throwing stuff at them, they're punching them, and they get out in a few days. And how fast they were able to empower and establish themselves with the weapons. How they get the weapons. Somebody gave them the weapons, because they can't smuggle the weapons in themselves. How are they getting the drugs? The same way everybody else get them. It comes from up top. We don't own boats. We don't own planes. So somebody's bringing them in.
Ago in Chicago,
and not only that, these international connections is how they get a lot of the drugs. The international connections. I'm not so sure about where they get the guns from. All I can be sure of is that they don't have boats and they don't have airplanes, because if they had boats or airplanes, that's how they would have came over here. But somebody's shipping that stuff to them.
Agents arrested another member of the Tren de Aragua gang. Aldelves Rodriguez Carmona is accused of being involved in a drive-by shooting. He entered the country illegally in 2022 in Eagle Pass, Texas. And an immigration lawyer who works with Venezuelan migrants says that these gang members are everywhere, and many of his clients have been threatened by them.
The Tren de Aragua is operating in all of our cities at this point. I take pictures of them, I send it to law enforcement, and I'm notifying all other governmental agencies when I get information on these people. But they're operating in Houston, they're in LA, they're, like you said, they're in Chicago, New York, Miami, they're everywhere.
I can believe what you're saying, Hurricane JW, because those same guns that they take from us, or some of us are stupid enough to go and do the gun buyback program, and they take those same guns, they give it to white supremacist groups, or they'll just give it to gang members. In particular, the Venezuelan gang members that's out there today. See, we go, they advertise on the news that we'll give you $150, $200, and you take a $800 gun or a $1,600 gun, and they give you $250 for it. Stupid.
Now, this comes as Florida senators like Marco Rubio and Rick Scott are urging the Biden administration.
Absolutely. You know what? I think I'm gonna have to revisit that Cuban crisis, Oliver North and George Herbert Walker Bush, the Iran, the Contra scandal. I think I'm gonna have to revisit that. I remember that clearly.
administration to formally designate the Tren de Aragua gang as a transnational criminal organization, Marky.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven.
Yeah, Hurricane, you revisit that situation. I'm gonna have to come over and join you, bro, because that needs to be talked about.
Unbiased coverage.
Now we're gonna go to the arraignment of the young man in New York.
Suspect identified as a Venezuelan migrant accused of shooting.
Yeah, the Venezuelan migrant. They say he shot 2 police officers, and he claims the gangs are smuggling guns into shelters and like food deliveries.
Shooting 2 officers after they tried to pull him over for driving the wrong way. But prosecutors say his criminal activity goes much deeper than this one incident.
Fox Eyes' Jess Formosa joins us live from East Elmhurst with what he allegedly fessed up to. Jess.
Natasha and Teresa, he said a lot, and we're going to get to that in just a second. But as you recall, this suspect came into this country illegally a year ago. He was arraigned on a number of charges, including 2 counts of attempted murder in the first degree. He used to live here at this shelter off Dimars Boulevard, but said
Hurricane JW, can you put your link in the chat?
as he was kicked out. Now, he made a shocking confession to authorities, saying that he is a member of the vicious Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, and that gang is smuggling firearms into migrant shelters. Bernardo Raul Castro Mata, the Venezuelan migrant who shot 2 police officers earlier this month, came face to face with the judge this morning. The 19-year-old arrived in a wheelchair and didn't say a word, but prosecutors say he spoke at length with investigators, giving shocking details of that night and what he's been up to since he arrived in New York City. He told he used to shoot the officers from a friend.
Last night, I was
doing this. Guess they don't want me to play this one.
my friend and my friend Jose Bitfoyer.
Yeah, brother Hurricane JW, I just subbed to your channel. So when you decide to do the stream, I have to check it out. I gotta check it out.
The notorious Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua to do robberies, but the most shocking claim to city-run shelters.
Tren de Aragua members were smuggling firearms into city shelters inside food delivery packages. That way they'll have to go through the metal detector.
On June 3rd, 2 NYPD officers attempted to pull him over for driving an unregistered scooter the wrong way on a one-way street in East Elmhurst. As police tried to pull him over, Mata ran off. Police chased him, and when they caught up with him, he resisted arrest. Mata allegedly fired at both officers, shooting Officer Christopher Abreu in the leg and Officer Richard Yaruso point blank in the front of his bulletproof vest. In court this morning, the ADA says Mata...
Okay, if he did all this, he's sitting there in court. He's sitting here in court after doing all that. And brothers get shot down, unarmed. He shot them. One sent a mass in the vest, the other in the leg, and he's sitting in court. But we do a lot less and are killed for it.
Also said that shooting at police officers is what they do in his home country.
It is common practice for Trendale Robin gang members to shoot gang members for minor infractions. Venezuelan police officers get shot often in my home country because criminals feel there is a chance of getting away.
He was once again held without bail.
This dangerous individual wasn't afraid to shoot a New York City police officer because he thought he was going to get away with it. Not in this country.
Now, Mata pleaded not guilty to all of the charges. Now, since he ratted out his gang, his attorney did ask the judge to keep him in protective custody. The judge did grant that request. Now, we did reach out to DoorDash. They just got back to us saying that they have no record of anyone by that name working for DoorDash. That's the latest we have from Elmhurst, Queens. I'm Jessica Hermoso, Fox 5 News. Teresa?
Yeah,
all right, Jessica, thank you.
The Venezuelan gangs were given the green light. They are told to shoot the cops. They are told to resist. They're told all this, not obey. They are told to fight.
And tonight, federal agents here in the U.S. and in Colorado and New York are watching their backs tonight. It's because News Nation is reporting a violent Venezuelan gang is...
They also are given the green light to shoot at federal agents. See, they don't care. See, one thing they do is they value their lives. They're not going to allow someone to just snuff them out. And if they think it's going to happen, if they have any premonition that it's going to happen, they're going to strike first. Again, that's the difference between them and us.
is giving the green light to shoot at agents. It's a gang known to have crossed the Texas-Mexico border, and tonight we're asking the experts if they're still here and if the unrest over there could send more gang members to hide among the real families who are fleeing the violence.
The political unrest in Venezuela and gang violence has innocent people caught in the crossfire, and some are preparing to flee their homes for a chance at the American dream.
So the influx that we're seeing of more and more people coming out of Venezuela trying to get to the United States is very simple.
Yeah, you know, the American dream is to come here and commit crimes without any repercussion. And they know that illegal business establish and control America.
Simple. It's because America has a functioning democracy and justice system, and Venezuela does not.
Dr. Andrew Smith, an assistant professor of political science at UTRGV, believes that's what's happening.
The attitude is if you can get out of Dodge and come to the United States, try to get out of Dodge and come to the United States.
Yeah, George Carlin was one of the realists.
But federal agencies believe the huddled masses are the wolves in sheep's clothing, known by federal investigators to commit sex trafficking.
You know, people say wolves in sheep clothing. Now, the wolves in sheep clothing is not someone who is that you can make them obvious. A wolf in sheep's clothing is someone who are dressed up in a Brooks Brothers suit, wearing a suit and tie and wingtip shoes, Stetson hats, fedoras, and dressed up like they're going to an office. You can't call the obvious a wolf in sheep clothing. My brother said it. My Jersey brethren said it best the other day. He said, "No, I'm not no wolf in sheep clothing. I'm a damn wolf." Not in sheep clothing. I'm out as a wolf.
And if you try to expose them, they'll kill you and post it online. The gang's leaders reportedly giving the green light in New York. Members have crossed.
Yeah, if it's in New York, and I'm fairly certain that it's here in the Rio Grande Valley.
National Border Patrol Council spokesperson Chris Cabrera suspects just because the gang is based in northern states, their criminal network makes them a threat anywhere.
Yeah, they have a similar interest. They don't have for instance, a cartel may farm out some work to a local gang, whether it be here or in El Paso or wherever. And just because they have the manpower, they know the area, they have the resources to carry out whatever task it is that they need them to carry out.
Yeah. So just because the presence isn't there doesn't mean that the interest isn't there.
Yeah, exactly. And smuggling of persons and smuggling of drugs is big business. It brings a lot of money. So a lot of people want to put their hand in that cookie jar.
And tonight, there is a major bounty on the heads of the gang. Right now, the Biden administration is setting aside $12 million in rewards for information leading to the arrest and or the convictions of the 3 leaders of the Tren de Agua transnational criminal organization. Now, this is a joint effort.
Sometimes that reward money is money to turn your damn head and have a blind eye to what's going on around you. It's all about money when it comes to these people. They throw money at everything. A police officer mess up and do something that he shouldn't be doing, they want to throw money at it. Oh, he needs more training. That's money. You don't need more training. If he's not trained enough to do that, kick him off the goddamn force. You don't need to be a cop. Now, these Border Patrol agents looks like the same people who they are trying to keep from coming over here. I don't understand the logic in that.
Effort encouraging people to go to their nearest FBI office or Colombian embassy or consulate's office to get some leads on tracking down the gang leaders.
Now, the Venezuelan gangs they say are taking over Colorado, a whole entire state. Can you imagine that? gang, they allow them to take
And
over
new at
states.
10, it's scenes coming out of a movie as the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua are seen breaking into apartment
Breaking into apartment
complexes in Aurora, Colorado. This is according to our sister station in Denver. There you can see the group. Well, this has raised concerns amongst residents and Colorado
Peace. I'm back, family. They kicked me out. I tell you, these people who we pay to provide a service for us, they want all their money, but they don't even want to provide half the service that we pay for. Crazy. And they do it at the last video that I wanted to show.
Denver police are on high alert after a violent Venezuelan street gang encouraged its members to attack the city's officers. A Homeland Security memo warns Denver authorities to look out for members of the gang, known as Tren de Aragua, who reportedly gave the green light to open fire on the city's law enforcement. The feds say they were tipped off to the threat from the Albuquerque, New Mexico police. The group is allegedly linked to hundreds of crimes, attempting to arrest one of its members in June. Reports also tied the gang to the brother of the suspect in the murder of Georgia student Lincoln Riley. Both men are undocumented immigrants from Venezuela. U.S. officials say members of TDA have been sneaking over the southern border, disguised as asylum seekers. According to the government, the gang is linked to human smuggling and sex trafficking in the U.S., as well as involved in murder, kidnapping, gun smuggling, and a number of prison riots in Venezuela. Authorities warn TDA has infiltrated cities like Denver, Chicago, Miami, and New York. U.S. Border has captured 70 members. Border Patrol Chief Jason Owens warned earlier this year the gang's criminal activities represent a serious threat to our communities. The Denver Police Department said it's taking the warning seriously and making officers aware of the safety concerns. For more updates on this story, download the Straight Arrow News app or visit.
There's a remedy to that situation. Round them up, get one of those big planes you have, take them back, drop them back off. As fast as they come, drop them back off.
A state bill could allow undocumented immigrants to purchase a home.
If passed, California would become the first state to grant them state-supported home loans. Our Conan Nolan is live in the newsroom with the next steps. Conan.
That's right. This legislation refers to a California state program, but it could have national ramifications.
Now they're allowed to get homes while others are homeless. Give them bank loans. And all this, my sentiment is all done to undermine us. All of this done is to undermine us. And it's
particularly in an election year.
And it's done to cause conflict. Anybody who's in their own homeland, speaking about us, if somebody else come here and they are afforded things that really belong to us and is given to somebody else, it's going to cause conflict. If I see that you have something or you're being afforded something that I know that our people are already owed, and you give people who just arrived something that belongs to us, and you give them opportunity that you don't give to us, and you make it easier for them to get what you make it hard for us to get, it's going to cause conflict, and it's done to undermine us purposely. And then you empower them against us. All this is done to undermine us in these cities where these immigrants are.
legislation in Sacramento receiving national attention, a first-in-the-nation effort to allow undocumented immigrants state money for the purchase of a home. The bill's author, Assemblyman Joaquin Arambula of Fresno.
The social and economic benefits of homeownership should be...
State money means that's our money. We are the taxpayers. Now, if they come here and they contribute and they have money floating around in the system like we do because they pay taxes, perhaps they should be able to get a loan. But if you come here and you didn't contribute nothing, you shouldn't be able to get nothing out of pot. You didn't put nothing in. You're only a shareholder if you invest. They didn't invest, so they shouldn't be able to get nothing out of our pot.
Be accessible to everyone, regardless of a
program. The state would pay the 20% down payment for a first-time home buyer, up to $150,000. Assembly Bill 1840 would amend the program so that those in the country in violation of federal law would also be eligible.
Undocumented individuals have historically been excluded from housing initiatives because of federal restrictions. Ensuring universal access by all qualified borrowers to the California Dream for All program will contribute to the overall success and vitality of California.
Backlash has been swift.
And now you got California trying to get homes for illegal immigrants. Are you kidding me?
California Senate Minority Leader Brian Jones.
Every dollar that goes to an illegal immigrant is a dollar not going to our veterans or other Californians, other legal residents.
Exactly. Every dollar going to them is not going to somebody who actually earned it, who actually paid taxes.
Citizens that also qualify for that money. This isn't an unlimited bucket of money that the state has available for these homebuyer programs.
Evan Simon has been covering the vote for the political website California Globe. He says passage of the bill is nearly assured.
There's enough progressive Democrats right now in Sacramento who will get it passed. That's why all eyes are on Newsom.
Governor Gavin Newsom has not said if he will sign the bill, which could complicate the party's messaging this election year on the volatile immigration issue. Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris has endorsed funding for the border wall. She's also backed a modest federal home down payment grant, but one that excludes undocumented immigrants. Donald Trump has already
excludes them for now, because when they start talking that minority, people of color, it start off black, then you start talking about minority, people of color. It's going to trickle down to them, and we won't even get crumbs out of that money. Won't even get crumbs. I know that trick bag. That money's going to end up going to them because of her history of the $26 billion she gave to her own people. But she's coming to us like she's one of us, while ignoring us for 3 years. But when she wants something from us, that's when she come to us. And then the ignorant among us welcome her with open arms and say, come on in, sister, when she haven't been a sister since she became vice president. Wasn't a sister before then. She didn't run as a sister. She just wiggled her way in through Joe Biden. Joe Biden picked her as the vice president, and she wiggled her way in. The Sister Act. And now this is the Sister Act 2 back in habit.
already condemned the California legislation.
So if this comes up during a debate, say the debate next month, that it can be a talking point for sure.
The staff for Assemblyman Arambula said the author who is the author of the bill said that he is not giving interviews currently, at least until the vote will be taken, possibly by this weekend. Supporters of the measure point out that only those with a taxpayer ID and a Social Security number would be eligible, meaning only those who are undocumented and have been here for years most probably working would be eligible for the program. I'm Conan
Exactly.
Nolan.
Peace. Once again, I'm back. And I think we've done enough on this stream to present what's going on concerning the gangs, the Venezuelan gangs that have invaded the United States, the cities of the United States. So I'm going to leave it here, land the plane right here. And I want to thank the family for coming through, my brother, the kinfolks, JJ the Enlightening One, my good brother, Brown's Flat Power God, my brother Hurricane JW. I'm going to join you when you do your stream, because I'm sure you're going to give us some pertinent information. Same as my brother Cuban Crisis, I'll be joining you also. My good brother, the Smokers Lounge, Chris Cyphers, I need to talk to you. I'm going to give you a call later on. Answer your damn phone, brother. I know you be in that studio cooking. Put the top on the pot, brother. Answer your phone when you're cooking. My brother and comrade, Talk Your Talk Media, thanks for coming through. I thank you, good brother. I want to thank my brother, Rob Bourne. Thanks for your information. Thanks for engaging in the chat. I want to thank everybody for engaging in the chat. My brother Smoke Signal, thanks for tapping in. My sister Sharice, the realist, thank you for tapping in, sis. Thanks to my sister Sharon Walker. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for tapping in. My brother, my Jersey brethren, Warfare K. Thank you for tapping in. Joining me this evening. Let me scroll up. My sister Doe Eyes, thank you for tapping in. I appreciate it. It won't allow me to scroll all the way up on the my phone. So I'm going to go to the chat on the StreamYard. Make sure I thank everybody for tapping in. My brother Hurricane JW, my brother Kill Switch. It was good to see you, brother. I appreciate you for tapping in. Manny Avelis Jr., thanks for joining us this evening, brother. Appreciate it. I appreciate everybody for joining me this evening, coming through. And before you go, I'm gonna let you know that like once again, Fire 2, the finale, will be out shortly. Will be out this fall. My wife is moving with the writing. Yet, if you want to purchase Fire, my wife's book, Fire, it's out now. It's at Amazon on paperback or Kindle. You can go to Amazon, go under books, FYRE, Angela King James, and get the book Fire. It's a good read. And I'm absolutely sure you will enjoy the book if you purchase the book. I guarantee it because I don't read novels, but I've read the book and it was very enjoyable. Not saying it because of my wife's work, but I enjoyed the book. It's something that I guarantee. That's the link in the chat. If you want to purchase the book, Fire, that's the link. Until next time, I'm your brother Nasir, and this is The Enemy's Public. Like the video, share the video, leave a comment in the comment section. Peace, family.